Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Tech Tuesday on the Educational AD Podcast. Before we get going, we do want to acknowledge our partners, Vital Signs Wall of Fame, We Coach, the Florida Coaches Coalition, and the Global Community of Women in High School Sports. These are four great organizations. You should really add them to your network. And now, please don't hit that fast forward button. Stay with us for the next 3 minutes as we give our sponsors a shout out. These are all companies that I used as an AD or as a coach. You should be using them too. Here we go. We want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack for their sponsorship. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to show you how they can create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of your parents and your student athletes. Athletic directors already hear back from the complainers, the 2% that want to gripe about everything. Athletic Surveys connects you with the 2%, but they also connect you with the 98% that supports your program, and that's a tremendously valuable tool to have. Go to athleticsurveys.com. Let them help you take your athletic program from good to great. We also want to thank Home Campus, the exclusive state association and information management platform for us. It's also your one-stop platform for things like scheduling, athletic clearance and eligibility, coaches management, and a whole lot more. As an AD, I used Home Campus every single day, and you're going to love it too. For more information, go to homecampus.com. We also want to say thanks to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Go to their website and check out their interactive touchscreen video consoles. It's a great way to showcase your school's diverse history and your proudest moments. That's vitalsignswalloffame.com. Mention this podcast, you'll get a nice discount. vitalsignswalloffame.com. We'd like to thank Hometown Ticketing for their support. Hometown is the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges, and it's also digital ticketing that offers more support, more security, more customization. Hometown is here to make the best solution for you. Go to hometownticketing.com to get started. We'd like to say thank you to Gipper. Go to gipper.com and start creating custom content for your school's social media channel. It's going to help you celebrate your athletes, promote your teams, and you'll be working with the platform that's trusted by over 3,000 college and high school athletic directors across the country. It's professional graphic design made simple. Go to gipper.com to get started. We also want to say thank you to Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com, schedule a live web demo, and see their score tables and their score boards in action. Their products not only generate income for your department, they also create the ultimate game day experience for your student athletes. That's sidelineinteractive.com. We want to thank Huddle for their support. Go to huddle.com and change the way you see the game. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches just loved the tools that Huddle provided that helped them coach our kids up to their highest level. At Huddle, we believe in sports and teams believe in Huddle. Join the 8 million users. Turn your school into a Huddle school. And we want to thank Snap Mobile. Go to snapraise.com. That's the website. Check out their entire suite of platforms designed to help you do your job better. Of course, there's Snap Raise, the fundraising platform, but there's a lot more. You'll find it all at snapraise.com. That's snapraise.com. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Tech Tuesday on the Educational AD Podcast. Our guest today is one of our favorites, Scott Paine. Scott's a certified master athletic administrator. He's a longtime AD, also part of the NIAAA national faculty for their 2 tech courses. Scott's our go-to guy for all things tech with the athletic arena. Scott, thanks so much for coming back for another episode. What do you have for our listeners today?
Always happy to be back, Jake. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Today's goes into, if you like lists, if you like organizing your life around an app that allows you to organize just however you like to see it, this one's called todoist.com. Todoist is one of my favorite apps. I mean, if you use it allows you to make lists of anything. So whether that's your spouse's grocery list, if that's, running your own podcast and different little sections there, it's a little more in depth than, say, if you use like a Google Keep or something along those lines, just because you can build out layers in it. So as fancy as you want to get, maybe those game day checklists, maybe something along the lines of a venue walkthrough checklist or anything like that. It's also intuitive. I believe they use AI at some form in it where it knows how to take things, but it takes the friction out of when you're putting a task in. So at like the rudimentary level, like say you're walking through something and your principal throws you something you needed to do, something about you need to submit a form or something like that, and you need it by Friday. You can literally, if the app's right on the home screen for your phone, you tap it, bring it up, hit the plus sign, and then type form due to principal, and then type Friday, enter, and it'll automatically set a reminder in the app to then ping you in your inbox for Friday. And you can, I'm getting way in the weeds here, but you can multi-thread how you do it. In other words, like Friday, and then it automatically knows this Friday's date gets put into there and it codes it to go, right. And you could say, please send me a reminder email. And if that's set up in there, it will set it automatically for you to go straight to your email that's attached to your Todoist app account. So there's a web version, so you can have it on your home computer screen as well as on your phone. So when you're walking around, or if you share it with somebody. So again, if your spouse and you have a list of your groceries for the week, or the honey to-do list or something along those lines, you can see it in live time update. It's no different than other to-do checklist apps that are out there. I mean, you can go to the App Store and type in checklist, and you're going to have, I bet you there's thousands that people make. It's just one of my favorite ones, just because of how easy it is to set reminders, and you can layer it, and there's templates in there. Again, like say like Jake, like you want to write a book, there's a template for book writing, and it sets out like different things on that. Or if you are a blog, you like to blog and you want to write a blog or something along those lines, it has a template for how to like go along the lines of setting that up for accountability check, lists and whatnot.
Boy, again, you always seem to come up with these great ideas. I'm going to go off in the weeds for a second. You mentioned AI. We've done a couple of segments on AI. Have you ever ventured into that area? Have you done a project that involves AI?
Yeah, I've ventured into the Chat GPT world a few times. AI is interesting. I think it has its place. I think it also doesn't have its place in other forms. It's really nice. I mean, if you're wanting me to go off cuff down the rabbit hole, Chat GPT, like the free account on that, like you can, if I would, sitting there and I need to write an email and I'm not really sure how to craft it, just type in exactly what you need. I have a parent asking me questions about so-and-so, I don't, and it's maybe a difficult conversation topic. You can literally tell it, this is a difficult conversation that I need to have, and how do I, word it appropriately for this to not be, and then name your XYZ criteria. I'm talking to a parent of a student in my athletic program. It will write it for you. And I would always probably triple check its punctuation, because I think it doesn't get it right. But same idea in this Todoist app. I mean, right? AI is literally the fact that I can type Friday in the thing, something's due Friday, and it knows to go this Friday and then to pin it to something else that I have for it to remind me. Like that's AI. It's autonomic intelligence, right? So, I mean, same idea, but yeah, it's email writing. If you wanted like a template, like you need templates for things, like I don't know, like give me a game day checklist for football.
Right.
I guarantee you it will do a decent job of giving you the bare necessities of what you need for a game day checklist for football. I would be kind of shocked if it didn't. And then you can manipulate it after that, copy and paste it or whatever you need to.
Right. And something like that. That's a great example. Game day checklist for football. There's going to be those 25 steps that any school, big, Texas Stadium with 50,000 people on Friday night to, small town USA with maybe 50 people in one set of bleachers. But then you can fine tune that list and edit it to fit your specific site and your needs. Good example of that.
A total another one you could do, and I've seen it in the sales stuff on LinkedIn a lot. You can role play with Chat GPT. So say you do have an upset parent that's coming in for a meeting with you, and you're a first-time AD and you have no one to practice with, or you've never even thought about practicing that conversation. You can, I mean, it sounds kind of stupid, but literally you type in, please act as an upset parent with a student that was benched for blah, blah, blah. What's your first comment to me in this meeting? And then hit enter, and it's going to pop out something that can be role played with. And then you can literally respond to that response as, I'm telling you this, what's your response? And then you will now have a dialogue with a supercomputer that maybe gives you some insight to a response, or at least gives you a dry run if you have nobody to dry run it with. Because I don't know how many times you want to roll with your secretaries or assistant principal if they have time to sit with you and be like, hey, I got an upset parent coming in. You want to role play the upset parent for me?
But that is a great example. And now I'm tempted to do it in my spare time. Yeah.
Jake, you can't put in, if my wife comes in the room and says this, and this, how do I, what's your response? You can't do that, Jake.
Now, that if you haven't thought of it, I'm suggesting it. That's a great activity for one of your tech courses at NEDC this year. Let's try that role play app out.
Oh, I don't know how that's going to go, but you know what? I'm always sort of throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Well, definitely let Freddie do it. And then you can watch watch him kill it or watch it go up in flames.
I'll sit there and support either way.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm going to sign up, see if I can introduce you guys again. I want to be there for that too. Okay. For our listeners, if somebody wants to reach out and talk to you, the guru of athletic director tech, what's the best way they can get a hold of Scott Paine?
As always, my personal email is probably the easiest one. I checked out the most. Paine, Paine, Scott, SCOTT @gmail.com. And I'm active across social media, whether that's, the podcast I do or my own personal pages on LinkedIn and Twitter. Definitely you can contact me. A lot of people do that way. So it's very easy to talk through that.
And let's go and give a shout out to your podcast, the AD podcast. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Go.
All day, after dark, all duties. If you haven't tried it, try it out. Freddie and I try to bring on my fearless co-host, Freddie. We try to bring on guests that have relevant content. We have a pretty non-professional conversation around it, and we have some fun along the way, and we like post-production. So we have a lot of fun making it sound fun and just be audio goodness while you do whatever you're doing, whether that's going to and from the office or whatnot. But we take a lot of listener feedback. We get a ton of emails every week of just things that people like, they want to see come in. And so we do keep a list of that. And so people contact us through that. And again, social media is probably the biggest one for us, but the email gets hit a lot too. The adpodcast.com is where you find us, all of our episodes, as well as guests and all the fun stuff around that. But we try to make it fun, and yeah, it's a good time.
It's definitely worth your listen, the AD podcast. Look,
random thing here. When we did the AD podcast, the naming of it came because we wanted it to be the tagline that we had, all like what AD stands for.
Right.
And the problem with it was we looked up after dark. If you do that as a podcast, there are some very cryptic things that live in the podcast world with the title After Dark. And we're like, I really don't think that that's going to be how we want to be found, is like and you couldn't get a URL for it either. But that literally, that's how the naming of it came up. Was we were like, well, the tagline's what we want. I guess we're just going to call it the AD podcast because we have nothing else to go with. So, but we had gone through all duties, after dark, all day as different individual names for the pod, and all of them were taken by another podcast that has nothing to do with athletic directors and had so many random things. Like the all day one was like there's a stay at home moms podcast called All Day. There was an all duties one, which was like a janitorial. I mean, there are millions of podcasts
That's
out there.
athletic director right there.
Well, so right, like, so the tagline for it, unfortunately, was what we wanted to be named, and we just couldn't find the right. Well, we couldn't find a URL, and nor could we find it searchable on a podcast app that didn't put us in like Murderers After Dark was like all these like cold cased podcasts. It was, yeah, fun times.
Well, obviously, I spent a lot of money in developing the name for my podcast too. Just a lot of research and market, testing went into that name as well.
Well, and the best one of the bunch would be Josh and Don. I mean, they're at least hanging with the AD podcast, but we all roll with AD podcast. And so, yeah, I love the fact that, whoever the next one is, good luck. I don't know what else you can throw down with the AD part in it anymore.
The off duty and hanging, there's just, you're right. AD and AD is, advertisement, that comes up a lot too. So, for our listeners, Scott and I got to spend some quality time together at, the national conference. We got to spend some time together at the recent FIAAA conference, and his, partner, Thomas Fredrickson, Freddie, he and I got to hang out this summer when he came down to Orlando for the Florida Coaches Coalition. Great time with these two guys. Again, make sure you check out their podcast. I spent all this time with them personally, but I'm still waiting for my invitation to come on their podcast. So, maybe in 2024. But Scott, seriously, thanks for spending so much time on our podcast and providing quality tech content. All the best to you, and it's only going to be maybe about a month or so till we're all together in Orlando.
Looking forward to it. Quality is a very, very kind way of saying that too. I don't know if I bring quality, I just bring stuff for you. How about that? But no, pleasure's all mine, Jake. Absolutely.
All right. Well, for our listeners, we certainly appreciate you tuning in, and we upload the Zoom recordings to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. Come back next week for another great tech tip, and just about every day for new content on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. Before we go, we do want to thank all of our sponsors. Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Go to athleticsurveys.com. We want to thank Huddle. Go to huddle.com. Turn your school into a Huddle school. Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Let them help you bring your school's legacy to life. Snap Mobile is the company. Snap Raise is the website. Go to snapraise.com. See all the things that they can do for you. Home Campus is the exclusive state association and information management platform for us. It's also your one-stop for scheduling, student-athlete clearance and eligibility, and a whole lot more. Go to homecampus.com to get started. Hometown Ticketing is the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. I don't think I need to say anything more. Go to hometownticketing.com. Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards, probably one of the best purchases I ever made. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. And Gipper. Gipper's the official social media graphic solution for our podcast. It's also where you're going to learn how to create world-class content for your school social media channel. Go to Gipper.com. Thanks again for listening to this segment of Tech Tuesday. We'll see you next time on the Educational AD Podcast.